Olo? That's Chinook jargon for hungry. We're back in House 2 to talk about what the people of the village ate. Village women and girls would have been primarily responsible for preparing family meals, both in the village and while traveling with husbands and fathers on winter-long trapping brigades. Ironically, women didn't serve as bakers inside the stockade and seldom cooked for officers since women of their status weren't permitted generally inside the fort. But in their own abode, and while on trapping parties in the wilderness, women were, indeed, in charge of the food the family ate. The idea of a separate cooking area, that is, a kitchen, didn't exist, and there wasn't much in the way of modern conveniences to make cooking simple. The area surrounding the fireplace, called the hearth, was the heart of the home. Everything emanated from it. It provided heat for cold nights, light for dark evenings, and heat for cooking nourishing food. Houses without fireplaces relied on small cook stoves. Cook stoves were looked upon as an improvement over fireplaces and considered a status item. They generally made cooking easier and more efficient since they controlled and focused the heat, allowing for less fuel to be used and additional cooking space on top. Also important for food preparation was some sort of container that held water, like a bucket or tub. This item would have been kept readily at hand since a sink with running water was not yet available. Equipment like kettles and pots and pans could be bought at the company store, but were costly. Food itself was not plentiful, and shortages typical of village life. The male workers received rations only for themselves, not their families, consisting of dried, salted, or fresh fish, dried peas or corn, potatoes, and lard, which was supplemented by animals corralled in small fenced enclosures, animals hunted, plants foraged from nearby, items traded in and around the village, or others purchased from the company store. Items used for cooking like salt, sugar, and flour often were not available. Finding good substitutes for missing goods, like wild honey for sugar, made it possible to diversify the diet under tough conditions. Drying food items, like fish and berries, had been practiced by native peoples for millennia. It helped to stretch the bounty of harvest throughout the year, since it preserved these food items past the point where they would usually spoil. Dried foods also served as a commodity and source of trade and wealth. Salmon and huckleberries are two examples of dried foods that would have been present in the village. Let's walk past the entrance of the village toward the land bridge ahead of you. You'll find the final episode of our story about 25 feet past the welcome sign. Let's go!